Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Nicking It pop-up show. We got news today that Mitchell Robinson is going to be out till December, maybe even January. And so I got Ajay here. I got DJ Shuttle, and we about to talk about it. How you guys doing?
I mean, it's
How you guys doing?
Knicks Nation. Another day in Knicks Nation, you know, with a Mitch injury update. And I mean, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Steph? I got a condition, and it's called when people do things, you expect people to continue to do things. That's my condition. So I'm kind of low key immune to this, and I don't know. Let's just get into it.
Yeah. So let me just put up the for those who didn't see the quote. So this is Ian Begley via X. SNY sources, Knicks center Mitchell Robinson will not be ready for the start of the regular season. Depending on rehab process, December, January is a target for Robinson's return per sources. Robinson is recovering from off-season ankle surgery. Knicks and Robinson do not want to rush the rehab process, and both want Robinson 100% healthy before his return. NYK or New York Knicks internally is confident in the depth and versatility of the team to compete while Robinson is out, per league sources. All right. You know, what does this mean for the Knicks? I mean, there's so many different directions, we can go with it. Well, let's just start with, what were your initial impressions when you heard it? Like, this is what I thought. I wasn't counting on them anyway. Or, wow, this is a really big blow to our championship contending hopes. Like, what was your first impression when you heard the news? Ajay, we'll start with you, and then we'll go get to DJ Shuttle.
So salute to you, Queen and Shuttle. I mean, we haven't seen Shuttle here in a hot minute. Shuttle's been busy all summer, hitting up them barbecues and spinning and winning all over the place. So it's good to have you back.
Winning, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And shout out to the chat. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Pop up show on a Monday. Show the love back, but just by hitting the like button. Yeah. So it was not a surprise. Okay, I didn't think Mitch was gonna be ready for the start of the season. The only thing is, I didn't know it would be all the way till December. Like, I figure, it'd be another like maybe 4 weeks, and they would start bringing him in slow. But right now it's saying December, which means
/January.
January, somewhere close to All-Star break and stuff like that. I mean, that's what it's starting to look like. I wasn't expecting, so it wasn't much of a surprise. It's just that it's just more serious than I anticipated. Okay. You want to go into basketball wise? What does that mean?
We'll get to that. I'm gonna get DJ Show just his first impressions, and then we'll get into what does that mean for the Knicks. That's the next question.
Okay.
Similar. I didn't expect him to be, here when the season started. I think I saw reports it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks. So I predicted 3.5 games a week. At 6 weeks, we were looking at maybe 20 games. But if we're going all the way through to January, now we're looking at 32, 34, 35 games. So, I'm disappointed, but, I don't know. I mean, respectfully, Mitch is disappointing me pretty consistently. So, I'm kind of immune almost to stuff like this when it comes to Mitch, to be really honest with you.
What does this mean? We'll stay with you, Shuttle. What does this mean for the Knicks? The fact that he won't be able to go to December, January, and he's 100. Even if he is 100%, I would still think he would need to work his way into, um, work his way into game shape. Salute, Sha. What does that? What does that mean for in the rest of the chat? What do you think this means for the Knicks and offensively, defensively, in terms of how the games won, our seeding? What do you think?
You know, listen, one thing I gotta say I like about this administration or this front office is that like they keep things on the QT. Like you gotta keep things hush. Keep things hush as long as you need to. Like there's no reason everybody needs to know everything before they need to know it. And I think that I think they were quite aware Mitch was going to be out for maybe more time than most people may have expected. I think that they strategically shared it when they thought it was the optimal time to share it. Not right before training camp, but not too early, and not to give leverage maybe to other teams and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it quite ironic that you just got the message from Tibbs, what was it like 2 days ago, saying, oh, we're gonna get 10, 15 minutes per game, yada yada from Julius Randle playing at center possibly, and then bam, we get this message. To me, this is all strategic. This is not random. They didn't get this diagnosis on Mitch just yesterday and then decide to leak it out today. Like so, I
Good
think
point.
I think the brass was well aware and they're ahead of this. And I think as far as the team though, it's going to be tough because like there's really no true backup center. Precious and Sims are really power forwards. Randall's a power forward. You got a rookie Huck Porty, who they're probably going to be reluctant to give any minutes to until everything else fails. And I think we've had some shows a few weeks ago where we were discussing Randall getting in this small ball lineup. So I think that small ball you were calling for, Steph. Well, here you go. Here you go. So I think we'll now get more of it, and it'll be interesting to see how the team does with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to Ajay. I want to get back to the small ball because listen, 8 to 15 minutes small ball is very different than 20 to 30. So Ajay, just what do you think this means for the Knicks? And we'll get back to the small ball later.
So listen, if there's one thing we learned last season is that this group is resilient. They're tough. You know, they adjust to whatever adversity that comes their way. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, last season we went on a pretty nice stretch without Mitch, and then without Mitch, without Randall, and I Hard was not healthy at some point, like on and off. Ananobi was missing games. So I mean, if it's just Mitch goes down this season, I mean, I don't. It doesn't change much. The only thing it changes is when he comes back. Yeah, last season and I'm not saying we don't need him. I'm saying we adjust.
Right.
We have, and listen, last season we had iHeart, we had Isaiah Hartenstein to help adjust. So this season, Tom Thibodeau and his staff, they're gonna find another way to adjust. They don't have iHeart in the lineup, but they have other bodies they could throw out there that's gonna do um, you know, I listen, Mitch gives you rebounds, right? I mean, that's one of his main things. He gives you rebounds, he protect the paint. Okay. We don't have a rebounding problem. We even without Mitch on the floor, we can grab rebounds. We could out rebound most teams even without Mitch on the floor. I mean, we've shown last year we did that last season. All right. And in terms of protecting the basket, Queen, you've said this so many times on the show. We have wing defenders now. It's not like they're not going to be strolling into the basket and think they're going to get layups, for Mitch to be defending the basket. So we have defense away from the basket so that those guys, they won't be getting to the basket. So, like I said, it's not that we're not going to miss Mitch, but it's going to be minimal. We're going to be able to adjust with the personnel that we have. Do you know what I'm saying? So the problem, and it's not a problem, but the slight headache is when he comes back. they have to reintroduce him in the lineup, in the flow that's already going, in the chemistry that's already established. Now you have to find a way to bring this guy in that's kind of integral part of your core, because Tibbs, he loves Mitch, so he's going to find a way to get him in there. Maybe force feed it at times. Okay, so when he comes back in, February, March, or after the All-Star break, whenever he comes back, it's up to Tibbs to bring him in where he want to affect the flow of the game, where he could actually, contribute to what we already have going on. Okay, so I think we're gonna be fine. We're gonna miss him, but we're going to adjust. I mean, these guys, they showed last season that they can adjust to pretty much whatever you throw their way.
Now, and this question is for both of you. We're gonna adjust with the players that's on the roster, or do you think the Knicks need to go out and get a starting center? Listen, they've already went around the league seeing who may be available, and they have a sense of who is available, who's not, and for those who are available, what it would cost. And maybe they weren't ready to pay that price, or they felt they would be okay. I guess it's a two-part question. Do you think Mitch not being ready until December, January now puts pressure on the front office to do something sooner than they would have liked to? Or do you think they can just stay the course because we have the answer on the roster right now?
I don't think you have the answer on the roster right now. It was already, I already felt like backup center was a weak spot anyway. So now you take Mitch out and you got Precious. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's just go with, we got Precious starting.
Easy, the president is here.
Let's just say we got Precious starting, right? I mean, I don't really have much issue or trouble with Precious starting. I mean, right now, he's the best candidate to start. So we have Precious starting. Then where are you gonna go? Like, are you gonna really do this Randle for 10 15 minutes a game every single game? Like, I kind of was looking at it like as an ad hoc thing with the small ball based on who you were playing and what the matchups were. Who's hot tonight, or that kind of thing. Not like, okay, the rotation is Randall's playing backup center, 12 minutes every game, 15 minutes every game.
Right.
I don't have confidence in Sims being the backup, and you need a backup. Like, we can't have Precious playing 45 minutes a game. Like, it's not going to be healthy. It's not going to be great long term. And like you said, they've exhausted, I'm sure, looking at all the opportunities that were out there, which is why they didn't want to put out this news about Mitch any earlier, because they would have lost any little bit of leverage that they would have potentially had. So, it's tough, but I think it's going to come down to how the season starts, and based on what the players like, will force the hand of management. And if there's any time where, listen, you already gave up 5 picks for Bridges. So if there's any time that you're gonna, need to go all in right now, you have to, because you've got a potential championship roster. So, now is where you have to, if you have to give up Kolick, you have to give up Deuce, you have to give up, the other rookie, Daddier, and a couple of picks. You got to do what you got to do. And this is not the time to now, not throw your cards in. Now it has to be all hands on deck and go all in. So I think they're going to start the season as is, but they're going to be forced to make a move, because there's no telling how long this Mitch thing is going to go.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Ajay? We have it on the roster, or the Knicks need to make a move?
Well, eventually they're going to need to make a move, because you can't go into the playoffs and think you're going to win the championship without a, I mean, that can happen, but not with who you're going to be facing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like as we know in the playoffs, I mean, things get real. You know, you play the best teams in the league, and they're going to be testing you consistently and constantly. Um, so yeah, we're it's a tough situation. It's a tough position to be in. I'm in. Knowing that front office, I know they always looking to improve the team, right? I mean, this is something we see this for the past 4 or 5 years, whatever this front office been here. They're always looking to improve, even when we don't understand the moves. Eventually, it makes sense to us. Like they're like many steps ahead of us fans. Like you know what I'm saying. Aside from Tom Thibodeau, who watched this show, we're like ahead of him, but he takes pointers from us. But eventually, they're gonna have to make a move because if he's not available, if Mitch is not available, he can't play. Like, and shout out to Wayne Peterson. I guess we'll go over this, but I just wanted to point this out because we're talking about it right now.
Sure.
Wayne Peterson, he says this. It's time for Mitch to go if that means packaging him with McBride. I asked him like, go where? Like, who's gonna take him right now? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's played very few games the past couple of seasons, so who's gonna be taking him? So, but we'll go over this when we go through the chat because he actually answered it, and I thought that was a he made his point. But we'll go over that when we talk about.
Yeah.
But eventually, you're gonna have to make a move.
Yeah, and we'll read the super chat as well. Parish Doug, appreciate you during that segment. I'm gonna go a step further. I think the Knicks need to, if they can, I think the Knicks should trade for a starting center ASAP before training camp for a few reasons. One, this is not a holdover. This guy's relatively healthy. He's entrenched as our starting center. He's going to be out through December, maybe January. It happens. Let's see who we can get in here as a stopgate. Let's see how it goes. Maybe we bring somebody in, maybe not. In my opinion, the Knicks need to be looking at a permanent solution at the center position. And shout out to Jarrell who brought this up this afternoon on Lunchtime Live. I don't know if it was my show or Tony's show. They need to be looking at a permanent solution at the center position. And so this is not a stopgate in my gate, in my opinion. Somebody permanent. If you can do it. If you can do it. If you can't, you can. If nobody's available, fine. We got to do what we got to do. But if you've already, did the calls already, and you kind of know what's out there, you kind of know what it's going to take, this is the time to pull the trigger. And I don't want to hear from Knicks fans, at least, we don't want to give up too much. We passed that. We passed that. To DJ Shuttle's point, this is all in now. We went all in on Mikal Bridges. We got some assets left. We got 2 protected picks. We got McBride. We got Kolick. We got Daddy A. If there's somebody out there who likes his potential, a young team, we still have some assets. We're not trying to trade for the Joker here, right? We're trying to trade for a starting caliber center who can, at the very least, rebound, play defense. If you can block a shot, fine. If you can, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with a Vucevic. I'm okay with a Valanciunas. These guys who may not be shot blockers, but who can rebound and give us some offensive versatility. We got wing stoppers now. I don't see rim protection as a necessity, right? So go out, bring in somebody that can man that position. If Mitchell Robinson comes back, great. If he doesn't, we good. Because if you don't bring anybody, now you're talking about Precious and Sims instead of, coming in and playing 8 to 12 minutes a game. You're talking about them starting 26 minutes a game. I just think that's I don't know if they're ready for that. Yeah, yeah. So for me, front office, get on it. Um, and if that means McBride has to go, and I like the way he's developing, we have a Kolick, we have a Payne, So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Um, what's your thoughts on trading for a center before the season starts, or you feel like, we can go in and see how it goes?
The front office it don't operate like that. This front office don't operate like that. So I'm past what I think about it because I already know the way these guys operate. If they made a move, that would be like shock value that they made a move, and more than likely the move would need to include Mitch's salary. And I just find it hard to believe that with Mitch, but when you couple the management's patient, let's wait and see approach to life with Mitch's injury, it just doesn't equal making something happen in the next 30 days.
Ajay?
So I don't think. I mean, like Shuttle said, and I don't know. I don't know if that's what Shuttle was implying. I don't. They're not gonna make a panic move right now. They're gonna take their time. They're gonna analyze and they're gonna make the move that makes sense. Right. Right now, I can guarantee you, Tom Thibodeau is telling them we're fine. We could play. We have the right pieces even without Mitch. Okay. If something. The other thing is before the season start, I don't. They're not gonna find a starting center. Right now, they're not gonna find a starting center. I don't think we don't have the assets to get a starting center right now. So what's going to happen is you know after the first couple of months in the season, if there's a team out there that has a center and that team realize that they're not going anywhere, then that center might become available. But right now, nobody, like, everybody's holding on to it. Let's see what we got. They're not going to start trading, getting rid of pieces before the season starts. They're going to play and see where they're at, and I read somewhere somebody mentioned DeAndre Ayton, right? If things are not working out, he might become available, but they're not going to trade him right now before the season starts.
And they also have to see how the rookie performs and plays. The rookie comes in,
Yeah.
he's doing great. So, oh wow, we could put him in the starting lineup. Let's see what we can get.
Yeah,
Aiden.
correct.
But Aiden's salary is also
Yeah.
up there. So now you're talking about a three-way deal, and Mitch has got to go in that deal. And what's Mitch's trade value really?
Well, Shuttle, let me tell you, if the front office, like, if and I'm just saying that's not necessarily the case, right? If the front office, if Aiden becomes available, and the front office say, if we that piece, that's the final piece of the puzzle to get us a championship, they're gonna eat it.
No, but you got to match salaries is the issue. And if Portland is getting off of their center because it's not like Mitch is on an expiring contract. He's not. Are they
'Cause
taking Mitchell Robinson back? And who are you sending back to match his salary? He's a max player or close to max.
he's not
You
max.
said,
Is it? What does he
well,
make?
he's close. He's close to max. Remember, Indiana, he was a restricted free agent. Indiana, I believe, gave him a max or near max contract that Phoenix matched. So are you sending Randall out in that trade? Are you sending Hart out in that trade to match his salary? If they don't want Mitchell Robinson, I don't know if we need a center of Aiton's proportion. I don't know if we need an Aiton.
Aiden's
Um,
at Aiden's at 34 million this year and 35.5 million next season.
yeah, I don't know if we need an Aiton. Like, I think we can get away with a Kessler, a Nick Richards, a Doran. I don't know if any of these guys are available. I think we can get away with those types of
Queen,
guys.
are
I
we
don't know
looking
if
to
we
get
need a
away?
super.
Are
Hmm?
we looking to get away with? I mean, we could get away just without Mitch in the lineup and with what we
No, no.
have.
Well, okay,
We're not
more than
looking to
get
get
away.
away.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know if we need a center. I don't know if we need a $34 million center on this team with the money that we've already put at the expense of Randall, because you're gonna have to send somebody out to match that salary.
Listen, man, you know, I think they're gonna I think they're gonna go with what they have. I don't think they're gonna make a move right now. Huck Party better he better get ready because if need be, he's gonna play some minutes
This
that
is
he
the
didn't
thing.
expect to play.
This is the thing. The Knicks are championship contenders. Like, they can't go at this like we just trying to have a regular season and see how they go and see how it goes. They're championship contenders. So I guess let me ask the question this way. Do you think our chances of making it to the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals are just as good with Sims and Precious at center for most of the minutes? Randall will get his small ball minutes. I'm not taking that away. Than we are with Mitch. Do you feel like there's no drop off in our win total, no drop off in our playoff seeding?
Hey, Ajay said that, not me. I
I,
think it is a drop. I think it
I
is a
think
drop
it is.
off. No matter, even though I don't love Mitch to begin with, it's still a drop off. I think it's definitely a drop off, and it's not so much only because of his play. It's because of the length of time that he's out, and how it impacts the entire rotation. Having Precious and or Sims coming in at backup center, playing 10 to 15 minutes a game versus them starting, and then Randall needing to play 15, 20 minutes a game is a huge difference. It's a huge difference. Like, I was quiet, Aj, but I disagree terribly about that rebounding situation. Let's be respectful to iHeart. iHeart actually had a better season when healthy than Mitch did. When you compare the numbers and the impact, iHeart's impact was bigger, better. He rebounded more, so he actually got more block shots per game. So we can't undervalue a backup center that came in and essentially elevated the team. We're not in that case right now.
I agree with that. I kind of mentioned that because I mentioned that last season, even Mitch was out, but we did have iHeart to fill in, and he did a
But
tremendous
but,
job
but
at it.
you but you but you said the rebounding. You're not worried about the rebounding.
No, listen, because we have guys on the team who can rebound, like right now. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So it's
but
not.
but
Listen,
we had iHeart rebounding at double digits per game. More he rebounded more than Mitch per game. So that's why it didn't feel like there was a drop off, regardless of Hart's rebounds or other players' rebounds. iHeart grabbed more rebounds per game than Mitch. He was one of the top rebounders in the league as a starter. From Mitch's injury to the rest of the season, he was one of the top rebounders in the entire league. So, like, to me, it's a huge concern. It's a huge drop off. And yeah, I know Mitch shoots 40% from the foul line, and you
uh,
know,
sh-
and it's a reason to be like, oh, it's not a huge drop off, but
shut up,
the drop off is not Mitch. The
shut
drop
up.
off is that you don't have the backup quality that you had with iHeart.
There's a lot. Listen, I don't disagree. iHeart was tremendous. It was a huge loss to, but iHeart grabbing more rebound. It's not just he was just grabbing more rebound. Okay, you got to remember, half of that time we had no Randall. There was more rebounds to be had by iHeart. Do you know what I'm saying? Randall is a tremendous rebounder. Okay. If he's there, iHeart doesn't get all those rebounds because he's fighting off iHeart to get the rebounds. We've seen Julius Randle snatch rebounds from his own guys like so many times. So those rebounds were there because we didn't have the team, we didn't have the guys.
Ajay, I only hope so. And I said
Yeah.
this, and I believe Queen, I was on with you when I said it. We need Randall to come into this season that rebounding is his first, second, and third priority. He needs to come into the season like, yo, I want to lead the league in rebounding type of attitude, type of energy. And if he does that, then it makes up for the drop off. But, until he does it, he ain't did it yet.
But do you think though that listen with iHeart when iHeart was iHeart like some of what iHeart was doing was with Randall. We would have to look at, I'm pretty sure his rebounds went up when Randall went out. I mean, Randall is back, so that's gonna help. That's gonna help the rebounding. But I hear what you're saying. Randall's gonna have to take the rebounding up a notch without iHeart, without Mitch. He's gonna have to take it up a notch.
9.2, 9.6,
Yeah.
10.1. No, we need Randall at 12, 13 rebounds a game for it not to be a concern.
Yeah. And OG too is gonna have to rebound a bit better than whatever his career average, whatever his career average is. The thing about going with Precious and Sims is you're not just going with them till December, January. You might have to go with them to the All-Star break. Mitchell Robinson comes back, he gets injured again. Like, you can't really count on Mitch even when he comes back. So I just don't see this team being as strong with Precious and Sims at center for the rest of the season. Unless I'm comparing them to who they were when the season ended. If Sims is on something else and Precious is on something else and they're different players much better than we remember, then this is all a mute point, right? But if they haven't grown that much, it's our championship aspiration took a little hit. Just put it that way. It's taken a little hit. Yeah. Let's check in with the chat before we move on.
Before we move on, so shout out to Parish Duggar. Thank you for the super chat. Parish Duggar says we need Mitch April, May, and June. We're better regular season with Randall and these wings. Our athleticism will dominate. No one will be able to guard us.
I think you're right. This is the issue, Parish Duggar. If Randall is at the 5 as a change of pace, that's one thing. If you're talking about running Randall as the center for the entire game and OG as the power forward for the entire game with Sims and or Precious backing him up, I'm not sure how that plays. I mean, even Thibodeau said that he can see him going 10, 15 minutes at center, but much more than that might be a bit too much for him. So I don't even think Thibodeau was on board with him playing center full game. I know you have some other comments in the chat about Randall playing the Al Horford role, and I think there was another center you mentioned. I don't know. I just don't see that I don't see Randall starting at 5 and OG at the 4. What do you guys think?
Sabonis. The other center was Sabonis.
Sabonis. Yeah, but Sabonis. Anyway, what you guys thoughts on that?
That's not a bad idea. I mean, Sabonis, in my opinion, Sabonis could play center. So can Julius Randle, for more than 15 minutes when necessary. Like, if needed, he could fill in for that.
Sabonis is about 6'10", though, no? Randle's 6'8". Let me double check.
Yeah, Randle, he make up for that in his strength.
He's 6'10". I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that. Running a 6'8" guy out there for the 30 minutes a game at center. I don't know. What's your thought, Shuttle?
listen, um, Randall can't start at center. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's not do it. If Precious got hurt, if Sims got hurt, if Hawk Porty got hurt, all right. If all three of them got hurt, then you put Randall in there. But game one, Randall is not going to be starting at center. Um, I think Randall, this thing with Randall at center, I've been saying it all summer. It has to be matchup based, and it has to be in short spurts. I believe I had said somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes per game when we spoke about it last stuff, right? Somewhere in that ballpark. And that to me is reasonable. It's Precious, Sims, Hug Porty, you guys got to figure it out. You guys got to step up. You guys got to step up. But there are some teams where I think, like, let's say like a Miles Turner. I feel like, he doesn't really have a post up game.
Right.
I think that Randall could be all right against a Miles Turner. But, there's some centers though that are out there, like, we don't want to see Randall on Embiid. We don't want to see Randall on Joker. I mean, unless we get a whole different Randall, like we get championship Randall, where he's like, all right, I don't got to be the guy I was 4 years ago on this team. I got to get more rebounds and play more defense. If we get a new Randall, then maybe, but I'm not expecting that. We got to see that.
Yeah. And to be and for context, or to be fair, I don't think Randall would play the center on defense. I think OG would get that matchup, but that's still a lot, for OG to play to defend, the fives, every game for 30 minutes, or however many minutes he would be playing that. That's a lot. And that's why either they're going to bring in somebody, or we're going to have to live with Sims or Precious playing 20 to 26, oh my goodness, minutes a game, and so that Randall can play whatever he was going to play. Let's say 10 minutes as mobile center.
Can I double back though to Parrish's comment about the games, and shout to Parrish on the super chat. Listen, it would be great that Mitch came back, and you guys, we didn't have to worry about what happened the first 30, 40 games. That's a lot of games. It's a lot of games. Like, and to think that we're gonna be in great position. I mean, I just don't want to just, get comfortable and get cozy, man, and do what the Philly did last year. They were comfortable, they were cozy, they thought they could just bring Embiid back, and they could just smack the Knicks around in the first round. You saw what happened? Because their seating was lower, they didn't have home court advantage, Embiid wasn't really in tip-top shape. You know what I mean? Listen, he did what he did.
I don't know about that, man. That boy laid 50 on us, man.
And he wasn't even in tip-top shape.
And he averaged 30-something for the series.
And he wasn't even in great shape, which is exactly my point. Like, I know Mitch is a different player, but you still got to get him acclimated to the rest of the team. You got a new starter in Bridges. He barely played with OG, if at all. He played with OG probably a couple of games, maybe, right? Handful of games. So he's not acclimated to OG. He's not acclimated to to Bridges. He's got to get in game shape. He's not. I was looking at these that old Mitch video they always show when he's in his bag and shooting 3-pointers. They pull that up every year. I was looking at it, I said, man, Mitch was a lot slimmer and had a lot more bounce. Now he's got an ankle injury, no training, no working out, no, cardio. He's gonna be bigger. He's gonna be slower. He's gonna have less bounce. Like I don't know, man. Like my head hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Finish with the chat. And for those who don't know, I talked about Mitchell Robinson will be ready. The report came out today that Mitchell Robinson will not be ready until December, January. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Shout out to Dwayne Dennis. He said, "I'm sure Danny Ainge would take Tyler Kolek, Huck Porty, I'm assuming, and Daddy It, and 2 second-round picks for Kessler Walker." I I don't know Danny Ainge would do that, but if he did, that wouldn't be that would be good. But I don't not Danny Ainge who try to you know rape everybody whenever he makes a deal. So I don't see him agreeing to that.
And this is what I will say for the Knicks. This is the time to overpay.
But Queen, what are you overpaying with? We don't have anything to offer to
Well,
overpay.
well. McBride has value. I think Kolick has value. You have the 2 first-round picks, so they are protected.
Heavily.
Uh, yeah. And I think that's all. If because I would think the Knicks are going to would want to protect their top 6 or not trade their top 6 players, right? So it would be anybody after that.
And Queen, shout out to you and Tony Crow. Like I was listening to the show earlier. I was kind of driving, so I couldn't really
Mhm.
participate in the chat. When you remember you mentioned how Obi Toppins and they only got 2 second-round pick. You remember like some of us were like, "What? That's all you got for Obi?"
Right.
A first-round pick would have been like super useful right now. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying. We didn't need to bring money, but we could have gotten better than 2 useless second-round picks.
Yeah. But as we talked about earlier, there was a method to the madness. There was a method to the madness. Why they didn't first of all, they might not have been able to get a first round pick, right? You got to have somebody willing to give you a first round pick. And second, they may not have wanted to pay because you have to, unless you get rid of that pick, you got to draft them. Unless it was like years down the line. Let's say it was a 2024 first round pick, you would have had to draft, and so maybe they didn't want to take on the salary or two. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but just looking at how methodical the Knicks front office has been, I think there was a method to the madness. I don't think they was just like I said on the show. Yeah, yeah, you can have them. Just give us 2 second rounders. You can have 'em." I think there was a method. I think there was a method. But you're right. If teams don't value Kolick, if they don't value McBride, if they don't value those 2 protected picks, what do you have to give? Will anyone want Mitch given his injury? I mean, he's on a descending contract. I think he's making 12, but he has this year and next year. So and with his injury history, you might not be able to put him in a trade, right? Will the Knicks be willing to trade a Josh Hart for a center or Dante DiVincenzo for a center? I don't think so. I don't think they're putting any of those guys in a trade for a center.
Coach,
Mitch
shout
is at Mitch is at 14, 14-3 this year
Okay.
and 12.9 next year.
Next year. Okay.
It's a good
Thank you.
salary. Coach want to trade for Shangoon. We got listen.
So do I.
Yeah, right. But
Give
I
him
don't
up.
think Houston Rockets not going to give him up for that. Like that's just not happening.
They came out and said that he was a cornerstone, so I don't think they're moving him. Period.
They're not moving him. This wishful thinking. All right, shout out to Leon Mitchell. Mitch is the oldest Nick and has not improved and cannot shoot free throws and still no low post moves. Can't argue any of that. Can't argue. And let's add, he's injury prone to that. But as you just mentioned, the contract is so his Mitch contract is good in the sense that it's not a lot of money, but it's also not good because you can't really trade him for somebody with like a higher contract player because you need to make the money up somehow. So
and there you go.
you know,
There you go.
shout out to Paris Dog again. Precious isn't better than Sims at center. Kill that noise.
I'm not high on either one of them at the center position. I think Precious can play some center. He played, I think it was 18 games at center last season, and he played well during that time when both Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein, was out. He would be the better option. I mean, if you look at his numbers during his 18 starts, I have to look at them, but they were nearing double doubles. I think the Knicks were a little under 500 in those, in those 18 games. Sims, I think all of us would have had a seizure had Sims played the way Precious played during those 18 games. Sims has not shown anything to make me believe that he can have the impact Precious had during that time. I'm going by Sims up to the end of last season. He can come into camp and be something totally different, having expanded his game, and then the narrative, I'll have to change my take. But from what I've seen for Sims, Precious is not ideal, but he's a better basketball player. He's a better basketball player than Sims has shown. And I don't even think it's close.
There's no comparison. It's not even close. And case in point, Queen, listen, we know Tibbs loves Jericho Sims, right? He really likes the kid. Last season we traded, and Precious was like a throw-in pretty much, right? We had minute at power forward and at center. Who got those minutes?
Right.
Precious. That's because, and somebody somewhere here on the chat says, well, how are we making all this judgment? We're not there in the gym to see these guys work out. Well, Tom Thibodeau, he's there to see those guys work out. And guess who he gave those minutes to? Precious Achua, not Jericho Sims.
Yeah.
So that, if anything, that tells you that Precious is a better player than Jericho Sims.
Yeah.
Or as the people like to say, the coach doesn't know what he's doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are you basing it on? That Sims is bigger? That he's that he has, he's more athletic. He's bigger. He can bang more. Higher. I mean, listen, he probably could bang more with the bigger centers. I've seen bigger centers kind of push Precious around, but I think that's one or two matchups. You know what I mean? If we're talking about the totality of their games, and we're looking at every team that we're going to play, Precious may not be ideal, but he's better than Sims. Yeah.
What can I throw a random player out there as a possibility?
Sure.
What about not before the season starts, but once Golden State season is starting to go downhill early on, Kevin Looney?
Yeah. I mean, at least he can pass the ball. Like if you gotta have he can pass the ball. He's a good offensive rebounder, as well. He's undersized, but yeah.
But if I'm gonna have somebody 6'9" that's out there, and it's Precious, Sims, or Looney, well, definitely Looney over Sims. Looney versus Precious might be a little bit more even, but I feel like that would be an upgrade to the backup, to the current backup situation.
Right.
What's his contract like, though?
This is a 1 year deal at $8 million.
Right now.
Yeah,
Oh wow,
that's what I'm talking about, AJ.
Yeah.
that would be a good option. So we get him and somebody else to make up Mitch money.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah. I mean, he would. Yeah, he would. Listen, we need him now. Um.
I, I hear you. I hear you, Queen.
Yeah.
But with their roster, they probably don't want to. They probably wouldn't want to. That's a team that Mitch might be someone that they could say, all right, well, he's only making 13 million next year. We could, if we don't keep him, we could trade him.
Yeah. Let me read. I found it. And then we'll get back to the chat. Achua played 18 games with both Robinson and Hartenstein out. And during those 18 games, he averaged 12.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks. Now, the Knicks were under 500 during that time, I believe. And I think their plus minus was either like plus 0.61 or minus 0.61. I mean, it was tight. But individually, he did his thing. I don't see Sims averaging 12.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks per game. The Sims that I remember from last season. So
And the seasons prior,
right, and up to this point,
up to this point.
up to this point. So I mean, I think Precious is the better. And Ajay will tell you, I'm not. I'm not super high on Precious as a starting center.
All right. There's one I missed from earlier. I just want to shout out to Sharice Duncan. Nick's gonna be all right without Mitch. Precious Sims have to step up. That's it. All right. And Wayne Peterson, I mentioned this earlier. He said, shout out to Wayne Peterson. It's time for Mitch to go. If that means packaging him with
McBride.
McBride, so be it. And I asked him, like, send him where, like, what team's he's gonna want him. And then he said this: someone who needs a backup center on a descending contract, but you sweeten the deal with a player and a few second rounders. So, which we talked about, but I
You
need
don't
to
have
know
to set a whole 5 pounds of sugar
yeah.
to
And
sweeten that.
and you look around the league, like, what team is that would need a backup center? But and so basically, what Wayne Peterson's saying, we're gonna get rid of Mitch, but not get a center back. Do you know what I'm saying? So because we're trading with a team that needs a backup center, and you throw in Deuce and a few second runners, but what are we getting back?
Right. Because they're not going to give us, if they need a center, why would they
They're
give
not
us?
going to give us our center exactly. So what are they getting back? And that was
That's why I said Golden State, because they have the guy that was the rookie last year, Trace Jackson. They got him slated in as the starting center now. And if they need to play Draymond as backup center, they've been doing that. And if Mitch comes back, let's say if Mitch was in that deal, um, Mitch could come back mid-season, end of the season, and they have their backup center with him, and they have him in place for the following season also. That gives them some flexibility. There's not really many teams as of today that it looks like a good deal for. And I'm looking at all the teams. Looking at all the teams, I mean, the West is looking really super competitive and stacked right now. I'd say maybe Portland, maybe Utah, and maybe Golden State. If I had to pick three teams that are not making the playoffs, and Portland, they only have Ayton, who's at 34 million or something crazy. We talked about Golden State and Utah. Utah potentially, but listen, we know what Danny Ainge is going to try to do. I never liked him since Boston, so you know, I don't even want to deal with Danny Ainge. Every now and then I watch YouTube videos of him getting two-pieced by Jordan or whoever else, just just for kicks and giggles, because that's how I feel about Danny Ainge. And I think that he feels that way about the Knicks. And if it's not going to be a sticker without the gun, he's not going to do it.
I will say this: he can have what we got to give. He can have all of it, other than our top six. Because what do we have left? So if he says he wants McBride, Kolick, two unprotected, I'm not gonna say the Knicks put themselves in this position, but they had to know. They had to know that there was a chance they was gonna lose iHeart. Mitch injury history. They've been looking around, but they didn't see it as a priority to really pull the trigger on something. And the worst case scenario has happened. Well, I shouldn't say the worst case because he is projected to be back in December, January. But I'm open to um, I'm open to a trade. I don't really want to lose ground in November and December. I think it might be hard to make up in this Eastern Conference. Salute to Jeff, but there's a few comments I want to get to before we get your opinion. Okay, got it. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Shout out to Building Blocks. Building Blocks says this front office is patient. They will stay the course until the trade deadline. So listen, it just so happened that I don't. The front office is not patient. The front office, they cuts the deal when the deal presents itself. Okay, so it's not like they first of all, I don't know why we say they're patient, because um many of the deals they made is like before the trade deadline. So they the first one to make a deal prior to the trade deadline. So I don't know why we think they're patient. They got Anunoby in December 31st. Boom. These trades happen way before the trade deadline. So they don't wait for trade deadlines to make deals.
But the front office also had this plethora of picks for a couple of years and didn't pull the trigger on anything big. And that is what a lot of the fan base was calling for, saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You got all these picks, and you're not doing anything." And even though I agree and you're right, they made these picks not at the actual 12th hour to make the deal on the trade deadlines. The deals that they did make, though, were kind of low key deals. The Josh Hart deal was like that was like whatever. Getting Derrick Rose wasn't high expectations. So they've made these kind of like a low key deals when it's like, yo, what's up with the blockbuster though? You know what I mean? So I think that's the narrative of that they've been patient as a whole, not necessarily specifically only to making deals at the final hour of trade deadline.
It's in oh, you were gonna say something, Queen?
No, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, Shuttle. I hear you. I know what the narrative is. I know what they're saying, but what I'm saying is that it's not this front office. It's not that they're patient. It's like they have their mind set on what they want, and what they want becomes available. They pull the trigger at that point, regardless of where it falls on the calendar. Do you know what I'm saying? So they don't wait to see if there's a better deal out there or stuff like that. Nah. Josh Hart, they wanted Josh Hart.
They wanted him.
So it's not they weren't waiting to see what else is out there. They just kept calling Portland to see, hey, is he available now? Do you want to get rid of him now? Like they know they have their focus on who they want. Okay. And then they check with the team. If what they want is not available, then they sit back. Yeah, they got to put a team together. They got to put pieces together. So they grab other pieces, whatever's available, whatever best fits what they're trying to do. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's not. I don't think they don't make the deal based on the calendar. They don't look at the calendar. They make the deal.
I think you guys are saying the same. I think you guys
We are. We pretty
probably
much
saying the
are. But
same
I
thing.
think Shuttle's saying what the narrative is out there. But
Mhm.
I'm saying, in my opinion, it's not that it's not patience. It's just like they want what they want, and they wait till they can get what they want.
I will say, don't be patient right here. Like, I mean, one of the narratives that came up in the earlier shows was, don't get desperate. I don't think it's desperate if you're losing a center until December, January to say, you know what, let's see if we can trade for it. Like, that doesn't reek of desperation to me. To me, that's what front offices do. We got a guy that went down. Even when he comes back, we're not sure if he can make it through the season. We're trying to win a championship. We might want to plug this hole um, right here. To me, that doesn't reek of desperation. That's what front offices do. Now, if this was definitively he's coming back in December, definitively he's going to be ready to go for the rest of the season. He doesn't have an injury history. We're just going to weather the course. I think that's fine. But in a situation like this, I don't think it's fine. Personally. Um, there's a few more super chats, and then we'll get to Jeff.
Yeah.
I mean, chats. I mean, comments.
Yeah. Let me go through them real quick. Just to make all we need is Dwight Howard. Shout out to re-ups.tv. All we need is Dwight Howard. Is he playing in China? I don't think he's coming over here, man. He loves it over there or wherever he's playing. I don't know.
You don't love it more than the U.S.
He don't want to come back though. He said he's comfortable where he's at. Um, Let me see. Real quick. Dwayne Dennis says it's time for Tom Thibodeau to extend his rotation to 10 players and play Sims, Achua, and Huckporty. Just throw it into the Wolves and cross your fingers. Tibbs need to coach through this. Well, I'm sure he's going to coach through this, but like Queen like to say, this is not time to be trying out players. And let me put this away. Queen, yeah, this is not time to be trying out players.
Hold on. Yo, this is potentially the best Knicks team you've ever seen in your life, unless you're like 60 years old. This is potentially the best Knicks team you have ever seen in your life.
Shuttle, you can make a case even if you're 60. This is still the best Knicks
This
team.
is potentially the best Knicks team ever. And you're talking about, yo, just throw people out there, throw the spaghetti on the wall and see what works.
Nah,
Absolutely not.
ain't the time.
You cannot board the ship. We talk about all aboard. This is emphatically not all aboard. This is not all aboard with DJ Shuttle. You are not all aboard right now with that commentary. And I might have to bring the bell back out for you who No. That is not what we're doing. Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about we got to play 10 players. I don't care if we play 7 players. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
because you
go.
got to think about it. You playing 10, your 9th and 10th guy, let's just say the 10th guy, they're taking minutes away from somebody who's better than they are. So are you really better as a team giving minutes to the 10th guy and taking it away from, I don't know, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th guy? Yeah, I don't think so. As it is, the 8th and 9th guy is playing less than 15 minutes, probably. Yeah.
What else we got? Well, I got a triple header here from Knicks 100 AGM, and I'll go through them real quick. It's the perfect time to move off of Randall and Mitch. So he throws in Randall in there, showing a lot of love for Randall. Next one is championship walked out the door with Mitch hurt until January, and he thinks now we fighting to make the playoffs.
Relax.
The confidence is this Knicks team. Knicks 100 GM, man. Yeah, whatever.
I mean, listen. The first year we made the playoffs, Mitchell Robinson went down. New Orleans came in. The Knicks still made it to the playoffs. Would we have made it further with Mitch? Probably, but we still made it to the playoff as the 4th seed. Mitchell Robinson went down last season. Isaiah Hartenstein came back. The Knicks won 50 games, made it to the 2nd seed. That wasn't all Isaiah Hartenstein. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is with Mitchell's skill set, you can get away with it. Other guys have to step up, but you can get away with his skill set, as long as you have somebody in that position who can defend and rebound, you can get away with it. That person doesn't even have to be a shot blocker at this point, given our wing stoppers, right? So yeah, we're everybody relax. It's not like we're not going to make the playoffs because Mitchell Robinson went down. I am a little concerned. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not. We're going to make the playoffs. That part is easy.
Where's Luke Longley when you need it? Why Longley? Like he didn't even play. He didn't play for us.
No, she's just playing.
Yeah, where's Bill Cartwright?
Yeah, shout out to A-Train, man, always rocking with us. And I had to throw Nick Yak in there because we're talking about centers. Nick Yak's gonna come with the hook party. Sims and Precious is not going to be the center, and the end of the year, Hick Party will be playing that. We'll be playing that out of camp, if not early in the season.
Okay. He said what he said.
All right.
He said what he said. I low key, I kind of like Huck Porty. I kind of like him. I like his aggressiveness, his assertiveness. I think he has a better feel for the game than Sims. And I think I said it earlier this summer. Mitch averages 8 points and 8 rebounds. And I think if this guy played 32 minutes, I don't see why he wouldn't get 8 points and 8 rebounds.
He probably could, but I will say this, and this is the same thing with Isaiah Hartenstein when people talk about, we got to do is replace 8 points and 7 rebounds or whatever it is. It's not the counting stats with these guys. For Mitch, it's his pick and roll defense. It's his strength to be able to put on guys like Embiid. So he's replaceable. I'm not saying he's not replaceable. What I'm saying is that his counting stats is easier to replace than the other things. And the same thing with Isaiah Hartenstein. You can replace his counting stats, but can you replace what he does for our offense and
the
stuff
that don't show up in the stats?
That doesn't show up. That defenders now have to play everybody on the Knicks. At least at that time had to play everybody on the Knicks. So yeah. The only thing about Huck Porty, I will say that I do think having some NBA experience counts. Yeah, I think it counts. And I think going into a championship contending season, you can't be trying people out. Like you got to have some NBA experience, in my opinion. But let's get to Jeff, and we'll save some of the rest of the
I'm sorry. Before Jeff, let shout out to Paris Duggar with another super chat.
Mm-hmm.
KB trying to guard Randall at center is a joke.
There's definitely a mismatch. So I do think we're on the same page, Paris Duggar. I just don't think I'm with starting Randall at center and playing, and that's just his position until Mitch comes back. I'm cool with playing him some minutes at center. I'm not cool at starting him at center and playing him 30 minutes at the center position.
All right, Jeff. Welcome, Jeff.
Sorry, y'all. I just got home at 8, so I was late to the party, but I saw Shuttle. I was like, I gotta hop on and say what's up and see my people. I wrote an article about this for tomorrow's blog. Mitch is my favorite Knick, so this was tough, but I think that some of the, and I apologize if I'm being redundant here because I didn't get to hear, like I said, I wasn't home, so I didn't get to hear what you guys said. So if I'm being repetitive, I do apologize. But I don't think this came as a surprise to the Knicks front office. Like I think that the Knicks have been in touch with Robinson the entire time. They've kept steady reports on his medicals throughout the summer. So I would be stunned if this was a surprise to the Knicks front office. So, and I say that so those of you who think that there's like a trade coming tomorrow, I'm not really sure that that's what's going to happen. I actually think that it's going to be Precious Achiuwa coming in for 24, 25 minutes a game. And if you're just looking at the counting stats, and I know we shouldn't, but when he started, he averaged 8 points, 8 rebounds, and a block shot a game. Sounds awful familiar to.
It was more than that, Jeff. We went through it. It was
12 points.
It was almost a double and 1.8 blocks in those 18 games. He 12.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks, I believe it was, something like that.
Okay, well, that makes my point for me even more, though.
Right? Yeah.
In other words, my point was that I was lowballing it on purpose to show the minimum impact. So what I think you're going to see is that, look, we don't live in an ideal world. But I think that the Knicks were prepared for this. I think it's one of the reasons why they gave Achiuwa the contract that they gave him. I think they're very comfortable with the idea of Achiuwa and Anunoby playing together in the front court and being extremely switchable on the pick and roll. And then you add in a Mikal Bridges. And is the defense going to be the same as it was with Mitchell Robinson? Of course not. It's going to be different, but that doesn't mean that it can't still be good. Right. And you know, he's not the offensive rebounder that Mitch is, but that doesn't mean he's you know, a terrible rebounder, because he's not.
Right.
And I don't think that this team is going to struggle on the boards. I just think we have too many quality rebounders 1 through 5 to you know, to say that we're going to struggle rebounding. And I just had to laugh. I saw a tweet from Josh Hart, and it said something like, "Just a reminder, guys, I'm 1 through 4." And I said, maybe it was a typo, and it was really 1 plus 4, because that would make him the 5. But
right. He was saying, "Don't put me at the 5."
Don't put me at the 5 is what he was saying, and we're not going to. I'm just being silly, of course. But you know, it's not ideal. If the right move comes along, or if they find someone that they like, yeah, they'll pull the trigger. But again, I think that this front office knew all along that this was what was likely to happen. And I think that they're comfortable with, you know, playing Precious Achiuwa at the starting spot for now. And, you know, Tibbs already said that we're going to see some small ball. So, you know, that's going to happen. You know, maybe Jericho Sims gets 10 or 15 minutes a game, if, you know, and obviously there are matchups that are a problem, like, but you only play Philly 3 or 4 times. You probably don't play them all between now and January 1. But the important thing is that Robinson comes back, and he comes back healthy, because if he's healthy, which he never is, but if he were, you know, if he comes back and he can produce during the playoffs, I guess is the point, then that helps us on our march to the championship. And so, you know, this was always a realistic possibility. The Knicks phone is going to be on the hook, as it always is. So if something does crop up that makes sense for the team and is at a price that they like, then they'll pull the trigger. But I don't think that they're going to overpay or panic or you know, address the situation right away necessarily, just because we think that they ought to. You know, I think that they kind of knew that this was a good possibility from the beginning, and I think that they're comfortable with starting the season this way, just based upon how they've acted up to this point.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with it. They may be comfortable with it. I do hear what you're saying, but it again, it's one thing playing Sims or Precious behind Mitch. It's another thing for them to start game in and game out, probably for the rest of the season, maybe even for the rest of the season. I mean, we're saying December, January. The reports are that he'll be back. We don't know that. I just think that the Knicks championship hopes take a bit of a dive at that center. It was already tenuous anyway. And I think knowing now that it's December, January, and who knows, maybe even longer. I don't know. I mean, one of the questions we asked earlier, Jeff, was does that change the Knicks championship hopes, their win total, their seeding in the Eastern Conference? And I know Ajay said he didn't think so. Shuttle, if I remember correctly, said he thinks it does. I think it does as well. Just briefly, what do you think?
I think it does. I think it has to. Anytime you take a rotation piece out of the lineup, it's going to affect, it's going to affect the best that you can play. That doesn't mean that you can't overcome, but that means that you have to overcome, and especially at the start of a season, this is a Knick team that tends to start on the slower side and, come to a boil. And then, they're like a risotto. They're not like minute rice. You know what I'm saying? It just takes them a little bit. And so that certainly hurts from that standpoint. But, am I comfortable? Personally, I'm not comfortable with it. I agree with you. I think that this puts us more in a 4 or 5 spot. And that's a dangerous place to be, because if you have to play Boston in the second round, that can be problematic. And this is a tough Eastern Conference. We've said that already, and so that just puts us, it hurts our roster for sure. And I personally, I think it's gonna. I don't see how it couldn't. At least, let's put it this way: if it doesn't affect our sitting at all, Coach Thibodeau should be in line for Coach of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions I have. This is the one. Do you think Mitchell Robinson has played his last game as a Knick?
No, I don't think so. And the reason I say no is he's going to be out for the only way that's a yes is if he doesn't come back at all, and then they might get rid of him in the off season. But he's not going to be a player you're going to be able to trade right now. He doesn't have any value until he proves he can get on the court. And I still think, as a guy he's the longest tenured Knick, he's probably more valuable to our organization than he is to others anyway, just because of the institutional knowledge that he has. I mean, he's been around. This was supposed to be his 7th season. So I don't think the injury is going to keep him out the entire year. It may be his last season in New York. That I can get on board with. That I'll buy for $1. But last game, only if the January timeline is not accurate and it goes into March and April, and then you would really have to think about it. And I don't really want to think about that yet. Let's hope that the reports are accurate and that we do get him back and for 40, 50 regular season games in the playoffs.
Ajay, DJ Shuttle, do you think he's played his last game?
Tough to tell. I mean, if they find a suitable trade, and as previously mentioned, something that they want, not a matter of time, not on the calendar, something they want, they're gonna pull the trigger. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I kind of have the feeling that it might be.
Yeah, DJ Shuttle.
I don't even know how I could say this and people not be unhappy with what I'm saying. If it was his last game, I wouldn't be upset.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just think that I just think that there's so like, trust me, I've been on the trade Mitch. Like I've been trying to shift the board, do the whole thing and like moving pieces. I've been working on this for months. I just can't really find many cases where it could happen. And it's I don't think it won't be because the team wouldn't want to do it. I just think it'll just be too difficult to do it before he comes back. And and then being the guy who he is, what's going to happen when he comes back?
Right.
He's
And
going to get hurt again.
perhaps.
So he'll come back. So he will come back. He'll play most likely, or like to AJ's point, maybe he won't come back at all this season.
And my last question is, do you think the Knicks should be looking for a permanent replacement at center, or do you think they should be looking at a stopgap situational type player?
Man, Kessler is a long-term replacement, and he's played 2 seasons, and like in the categories that matter most, defensive win shares, the shot blocks, like to only play 2 years, his first 2 years rival any best 2 years of Mitch. So, I mean, considering the lack of options that are out there and all the draft picks that you just gave up, I think he can be a short-term, long-term until he proved it. You feel me? Like, short-term, long-term. Like, you don't got to be a 10-year long-term, but I think if you put Kessler with the rest of the starting 5 and your key bench players, D3 and Hart, you put him with those guys. I mean, I think that he fits in the timeline of Brunson's contract, Bridges' new contract that's coming. I think his timeline fits there in terms of trajectory and all those kind of things. So I'm definitely Team Kessler.
Okay. Jeff, Ajay, just in general, do you think the Knicks should be looking for, if they do sign a center this season, just say they do, should they look for a long-term replacement or should they just look for a stopgap situational type player?
Well, I've said this before, and I'm going to stick with it. There are only 2 players on this roster who haven't been hand selected by this front office to play for this team. One of them is Mitchell Robinson, and the other one is Julius Randle. So from that standpoint, I think that they always had an eye on, Mitch not being the permanent solution. I personally, I've never thought that this front office said, yeah, Mitch is the guy that we definitely are gonna ride with. I mean, here's a guy that signed a nice contract that's a good number to when you're going to aggregate salaries. I think for a long time the Knicks were very much interested in Joel Embiid, and so I think that the hope was that maybe a Robinson Randle kind of a package might get that done. Obviously, that ship has sailed, but from the standpoint, and that's not going to be a popular opinion. I don't think this front office has a problem moving either one of those guys, Robinson or Randle, because they're not their handpicked guys, whereas everybody else is guys that they chose. And when you talking about a front office, they're going to be, in my opinion, they're going to glom to the guys that they picked. Obviously, Jalen Brunson family and all of his guys, his core, I think they're here for a long time. If you're going to make improvements to the roster, I think the guys that they're okay with moving are Randle and Robinson. Now, Robinson is not healthy, so that makes it difficult. I mean, this is a front office that doesn't like to sell for pennies on the dollar. They at least want to get back even in a trade. So they're not just gonna give him away. But if if a Walker Kessler deal comes available, I don't think we're dealing with Utah, but who knows? We dealt with Toronto and we dealt with Brooklyn. An Ainge could happen too. But I agree with Shuttle that if Kessler comes on board, he fits in so many ways. He does a lot of the Mitch things, and that contract would be small and beneficial to what they, because they still like to have that flexibility as much as they can, and that would matter to them also, I think. So if they can find a piece like that and acquire him, then I think they do that. But again, I've never been under the impression that Robinson was what this front office considered the answer at the 5 spot. I think that they believe him to be a good player, but they know his limitations and they know his injury concerns, better than anybody. I mean, we've lived it firsthand, for his entire career. So from that standpoint, I don't think he was ever the long-term solution. So if another solution makes itself available, I think that the Knicks are going to go ahead and take it.
Yeah. Ajay, look for a permanent solution or just look for a stopgate situational type player?
At this point, I'd look for a permanent solution. I mean, it's Mitch, unfortunately, and we love the guy. He's been here the longest. He's the longest tenured Knicks. We seen him struggle. We seen him improve. We seen him lose it. We seen him hurt. We seen him come back. I mean, we've seen literally all the ups and downs. But at this point, it's you got to look out for the team. You know what I'm saying? So if he cannot stay healthy, there's no point in you have to replace him. It's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. It sounds cold-hearted, but if he can't stay healthy, you just can't rely on him. You have to get a permanent solution at center. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. And if they don't do it this season because no one is really available that they like, to Jeff's point, he'll be back and he'll play this season, and they'll probably look to address that in the off season if they can't do it during the season. Yeah. All right, we'll go through the chat real quick, and then
there's only a couple. There's a couple left over from the last time. Let me see. Oh, somebody mentioned. I don't know. We actually flashed this the last time. Steven Adams. That would be a good replacement for $12 million.
He's a poor free throw shooter as well, right?
Yeah, but he does the other stuff really well, like the rebounding. Did
he play last year?
No, he didn't. He was hurt most of the year.
What are we doing here?
But I don't know if he's injury prone though. But he was injured last season.
He was injured last season. David C. Shout out to David C. Could we stop talking about Precious? We have seen him play. There's a reason why the Raptors got rid of him. For all the trades in the NBA, there's a reason why they get rid of him. What's that reason? It can't be he's no good. I mean, Portland got rid.
We got rid of Grimes. There's a reason we got rid of Quickly. It's not always that they can't play.
Yeah, I mean, Portland got rid of Dame. There's always a reason, but it's not that he can't play. So I don't know what.
And it too has been good for us. I mean, judging by what he did in his time in a Knicks uniform, forget what he did as a Raptor. I mean,
Precious.
I'm not a huge Precious guy, but
I am a huge Precious
reasonable
guy.
take to say that Precious played well in the minutes that he was given last year. Am I in the minority there?
He played well, but that stretch he had, he looked superior. As the season wore off and into the playoffs, not that great. He didn't look as
his minutes. His minutes went down, so he didn't.
As Steph always says, it's one thing for guys to play short minutes or to start a handful of games. and do great and have these great stats, but how does that extrapolate over a long period of time? And that's how we separate the men from the boys. And yeah, it was cool for a couple of games, 44 minutes, 48 minutes, the adrenaline's flowing. You know what I mean? You charged up, you back in New York, Bronx kid, but now being relied upon to do that as the starter for 35 games, to play 30 plus minutes a game, give us 10 boards a game, 1.5, 2 blocks a game. That's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot to ask. And I'm not saying that he can't do a decent job, but it's a job he's never done before. And it's not a job that he's done so well that I'm not concerned about it. You know what I mean? So, it's a precious moment.
I definitely like him better as a backup. But listen, those 18 games, he was phenomenal. Can he do it for 35? Can he do it for 40? Can he do it for the course of a season? To me, he's a power forward that was pressed into duty and did well.
That was something I was thinking earlier. Now, if someone had mentioned, it wasn't me, I didn't mention it, but since someone else mentioned it, I think it was Ajay, talked about a trade with Randall and Mitchell for somebody, for example, let's just say an Ayton. Now, again, I'm not advocating for it, but
I'm not trading Randall for nobody.
okay, but I mean, you put it out there in this conversation earlier, so
No,
I'm going to give you all the credit.
I did.
Not Randall.
Jeff.
Yeah,
so
Jeff.
So if you did make a deal like that though, and you had a center that upgraded you at that position, let's just say Aiden, and you had Precious now at power forward, that's different. I could deal with him being the fifth guy, and for less of a better word, the weakest link in the starting lineup, if there's an upgrade at center, because he's playing his natural position, power forward.
Right.
Right.
And I'm only bringing that back up because Jeff makes a reasonable point. Like Mitch and Julius is not these are not players under this regime. Randall doesn't have a new contract, and anything could happen. Anything could happen.
I hope these cat rumors don't start rolling around.
Resurfacing.
Yeah, resurfacing.
Yeah. I mean, anything could happen.
Shout out to Pablo Dimas. At $10 million, Valanciunas is the center I would target. We have Washington's first round pick, and I'm sure they're in tanking.
Meaning giving it back to them. Give it.
Yeah, but it's so heavily protected that
it's theirs though.
Yeah, but it's
so heavily protected.
It's not ours.
That the thought is that it's never going to convey. So right. Why do I need to even trade to get it back?
So they don't need to trade to get it back. They're really going to have it unless it falls outside. I think it's top 18.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That they're going to have it anyway.
Right.
Unless they want to get rid of Valanciunas. I don't see why they would do that. It's just but yeah, that would be he'd be a good center.
Yeah, I mean he's not not a rim protector, but I would be okay with that given the defense of our wings.
Yeah, he's a good big body you could throw in there to bother people.
Before the news that we wouldn't see Mitch until likely January, I was already thinking, why aren't we dealing for this guy as the backup center anyway? I was trying to package like Deuce, Sims, one of the rookies, a third team if you needed to get somebody for a couple of $1 million, and a couple of picks. Give them their first round pick and a couple of second round picks. They got some players that they can use, but I don't know. I would have had this deal done already.
And not to mention the rule for the past couple of years. You get a player from the Wizards, you're more likely to win a championship. Last year, the two teams that went to the final, they guaranteed, each one of them had a player from the Wizards.
I mean, listen. Now you're thinking. Now you got your thinking cap on.
We got one. If we get another one from the Wizards, man, we're in great shape. All right.
The other thing is, I'm not sure we're going to see Precious for 35 minutes.
I agree.
I that's the other thing that I would say. I think that you're going to see Precious for like 24 minutes, and you're going to see probably Randall for 10 or 15, and then I think you'll see a Sims in there for some bench,
whatever the balance is.
Whatever the balance is. I honestly think that you're gonna see that. I'm not saying it's out of the question, but I wouldn't be shocked if because I'm not sure that. I mean, I think they would have loved to have played Mitch for 30 minutes, but that was never what he did.
Right.
I mean, he's a 24-minute a game guy throughout his career. So if you look at it from the lens of just putting Precious into the Mitch role, maybe you are just plugging him in for 24 minutes. You're playing a little bit of small ball, and then I think whether it be Sims or Huckporty, one of these bigs, you could probably throw them in for bench minutes. You know what I mean? 5 or 10. A couple minutes each half, whatever the case may be. But I would actually be surprised if it's 30 plus minutes, and I'm wrong all the time. So I'm not saying that it won't be. I kind of think it'll be.
Yeah.
Different.
Because you're right. The 24 to 26 that Mitchell got, Randall would have played the rest. And so you could still do the same thing with Precious, 24 to 26, and then, give Randall 10? No, no. You still would have to have a backup center and then play Randall 10.
Yeah. But I mean, 4 minutes a half, of Sims or whatever, or more small ball without Randall, whatever the case may be. I don't know, but all I'm saying is I could see that happening.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out to Parrish Duggar with another super chat. Parrish Duggar says the Mitch thing is genius. Now Randall will feel needed at center, and he won't feel like he's sitting Mitch. It also makes Dante DiVincenzo a starter in 20 minutes for Deuce.
Okay. Appreciate the super chat, Parrish.
Space goes. Jalen Duren and Walker Kessler are long-term replacements. I don't disagree with those.
Add Nick Richardson there too. Even though we haven't heard anything about, I just think he would fit. He would be. Listen, none of these guys are the offensive player that I would want, but defensively, it would work.
I love Duren.
You think he has offensive upside?
More than Mitch, absolutely. And I think he's better defensively. He's more athletic, stronger. I think these guys he's gonna be better on offense than anything we've ever seen of Mitch. Like, he's already better than Mitch has ever been right now. And he's also more durable. I mean, he's missed a few games, but definitely more durable than Mitch.
Yeah. I don't know if Walker Kessler offensively has any offensive upside to his game. But again, I haven't watched him, game in and game out. So
he's
nice
unnecessarily courageous on his 3-point shooting. But he'll definitely huck it and chuck it.
Okay.
He's got a few moves here and there, but he's definitely no he's no offensive, weapon, put it that way.
Yeah. Shout out to Nick Yak complaining. He says all the rookies who play in the league, but not ours, who's in his 5th year.
What?
In the spot we are desperate. Why? So
talking about Sims, right?
No, he's talking about Huck Porty.
Porty. Listen, how much we gonna talk about Huck Porty? Listen, no more Nick Yak comments about Huck Porty.
No,
I mean,
hold on. Forget about Huck Porty. Let's talk about the Tibbs regime and how they have played rookies every single year. Every single year. RJ Barrett was a starter year one.
Quickly.
Quickly was averaging
25
what,
minutes a game right out the box.
like
Yeah.
20 minutes a game. Okay. It didn't work out, but Grimes was getting plenty of minutes. Even Deuce, he was back and forth between the G League and the Knicks League, but they were finding ways to get him some minutes. So this whole narrative that the Knicks are not playing rookies, I'm sorry. And then when you look at
Don't forget Obi. Don't forget Obi.
Listen, I know some of you stands wanted Obi to play all these minutes, but sorry, Randall's been an all NBA player 3 seasons. There's no room for him to play more than 12, 14 minutes a game. That's what you play behind an all NBA player, and you're lucky to get that many minutes. So
he's wondering why Huck Porty won't get minutes. So he's
I think
the Knicks are different now. The Knicks were in championship contenders when Grimes and Quickly and those guys. They're championship contenders now.
Listen,
And 5 years as a professional is not the same as 5 years in the NBA. Can we stop with the Huck Porty again?
Thank you.
We can do the Ntilikina rule. We can't be talking about you more than you minutes than you playing in the game. And right now he's playing 0 minutes. And every week, every show, we got to talk about Huck Porty over Kolek. We don't even talk about Kolek as much as we talk about Huck Porty, and Kolek is better.
Kolek is behind an all NBA player, so there's not really much to talk about. Not to mention you got Campaign and you got Deuce, so there's not really a whole lot to talk about Kolek. With Mitch being out, with Precious being undersized, with Sims being what he's been, I can understand the clamoring a little bit to say, hey, listen, get the rookie a shot. He's going to get a shot. It's going to be in training camp. So until training camp, there's nothing really we can say other than let's see what he does, see what he does in some preseason games against NBA players that will be barely playing, and let's see what happens. Listen, Precious has earned the benefit of the doubt, and Sims has been here, and he's a Tibbs guy. So these guys are going to get their chances. They're going to have to fail miserably before Huck Porty gets a shot. That's just what it is. Like, if you don't know Tibbs and you don't know the Knicks better than that already, then you don't know nothing.
Listen, if Huck Porty is playing in the rotation, some shit didn't happen.
Oh man, Nick Yak, you got the queen, you got the queen cousin, Nick Yak. You got the queen cousin.
Come on, man. Come on.
I am gonna say, and I said it earlier, and I will say it again. I liked Huck Porty in Summer League. I liked some of his footage that I've seen. Like, I like his aggression. I like the way he plays. I don't know if I'm agreeing completely that if he's playing is not a great situation for the team.
We're a championship contending team. You're gonna if a rookie is in the rotation who hasn't played in the he's in your something has went wrong. You don't think?
I think for me, I don't think Sims is worthy of NBA minutes.
Wow. Okay.
That's how I feel about Sims. Sims has had more than enough of an opportunity to prove that he could be and should be the guy. And we should have no concern based on what he's done already in his 3 seasons. And I'm concerned based on what he's done. I'm concerned. Like, his head is like he's not in the game. Forget about he was injured, he couldn't practice, he couldn't be ready. I think that there's a shot that Huck Porty earns minutes.
Listen, I think there's a shot for the Knicks to go out and get a center with NBA experience to play on this championship contending team. Let's stop playing games here.
Now we hope that happens.
Alexa even is she said, I don't know how to help you with that. Come on.
We hope so.
You
we
gotta
want a
go
deal.
out
We
and
want a
trade
deal.
for a center. Get somebody before you bring in Porty. Come on.
We want a deal to happen. We want a deal to happen, but the front office is not going to jump at any old deal. They're gonna try to wait Mitch out, and depending on how things are going, it could be injury.
Listen, Porty prove me wrong.
You
I'm
want to
just
see
saying
you want
from
to
this
see
vantage
Morris? You want to see Morris at center?
Morris played in the playoffs last season for Cleveland. He got minutes for them and he produced. He's played 76 playoff games. So if we have to play more, if you ask me if I want to play Porty 10 minutes a game or Morris, I want to play Morris, small ball center, 10 minutes a game. 76 playoff games played last season. Undersized, but
Crazy.
how many tall centers are we gonna be, going up against? Listen, you guys can disagree. I just feel if you're a championship contender, you want to have experience at each position. That's the only thing I'm saying. Porty very well may be a good player, but you still have to learn the NBA game, the NBA, the speed of the game, those sorts of things. My preference would be to bring somebody in that already knows that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you 1,000,000%.
I'm not saying he can't play. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's not going to be a good player. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I'm trying to win a championship, I'm more comfortable with somebody with NBA experience.
Well, Sims has it, so let's step up, Sims. Sims got it. I mean, and to Nick Yak's point, I mean, Huck Porty, he's played all these years as in the professional league, so he's not out of a 1 year one and done college rookie. He's not that kind of rookie. So it's not the NBA, but it's also not coming from college.
All right. Enough of the Huck Porty. He got a whole 10 minutes.
And he ain't gonna play 10 minutes.
He ain't gonna even play.
Exactly. He ain't gonna play 10 minutes a game.
Exactly. Enough.
A game all year. Shout out to Wiz, and that's going back to when we talk about the trade for with Washington, saying how heavily protected that was. He said Washington can't trade a first round pick unless they control it. So there's a reason to get it back.
And then he also, let me just put some more context to it right afterwards. Yeah. You got it, Ajay, or you want me to?
Yeah, no. Oh, the Wiz have to hold the first round pick until 2026 because they need to have it available next year in case they're not top 10 or 2026 if they're not top 8, even though we know we own the deal.
Yeah, but I think he I think it was this one. More accurately, Washington cannot trade a first round pick until 2027 when it will convey to a 2026 and 2027 second round Knicks pick. So if they want to make a trade using, basically they can't do anything without that pick. They can't make other trades with a first round pick.
They can't use that pick in trades, he's saying.
Exactly.
They can't use the other picks because of the stipend rule.
They can't use the other pick. So they would need that pick back in order
to have some trade flexibility.
They would need that pick back.
That would be like the current Knicks regime type of move. We are 2 steps ahead, so we got to get that pick back because we know we're looking at this one or that one and this move or that move. So we got to get that pick back to make another move. It's not so much that we want to get the pick back to draft anybody per se. Shout to that commenter. That's high basketball IQ right there.
That's Wiz, president of the McBride Club.
He wants Deuce to play the 5 spot, I think.
I mean, couple of minutes a game, we get him in there, Wiz.
No, mess around. Deuce might be gone in that trade.
Right.
He just took his leg off the show. Thanks, AJ.
Oh, so somebody said, Nick Yak said, Harporty will be another McBride for me. Keep hating. Listen, it took McBride 3 seasons. So I'm not saying Harporty will never play for the Knicks. It took McBride 3 seasons to get on the floor consistently. So if in 3 seasons, Harporty is ready to play.
And a trade,
right. So if it takes 3 seasons and Harporty is ready to play, that's about right. So that's not the same comparison. You're talking about Harporty playing now, and me coming around for McBride in year 3 when he started doing something. You know what I mean? It's just not the same thing.
And we're in a different place, like you mentioned earlier. We're not. This is not babysitting time. This is not. Oh well, we have our own pick, and we can be as bad as we want to. This team is built to win now, and I want to trust to a guy who's not ever done anything before, and you can tell how the Knicks think about him based upon the contract they gave him. They locked Kolek up for a 4-year deal. They have 40 on a 2-way. That should tell you all you need to know about how they think about 40's readiness.
A 2-way, exactly. The Knicks didn't even give him a regular contract. I mean, relax. He calls for the ball. I mean, oh, he got the size. He calls for the ball. Listen, how many big didn't make it in the NBA who had the size and who can call for the ball? I mean, come on, Doc. Come on. It takes more than that. Than having size and being able to call for the ball. And you played in Germany. Like, come on already. The Knicks are in a different place right now. We're trying to win a championship. It's different. Now, if he comes out and he busts it in training camp, let's start talking. Then we can start talking. In preseason, he go out there and he does what Quickly did and snatches the job. Then we can start talking. But I don't want to hear nothing about he's tall and he calls for the ball. Like, what is that? What is that? That tells me absolutely nothing.
Yeah, eating pets.
Shout out to Mega NY. Mega always rocking with us, man. Shout out to Mega. Say hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the like button, man. I haven't checked the like. Let me see where we at with the likes. We 42 likes.
80 watching.
Yikes. And there's been more than 82.
Hit those likes up.
Hit those likes, man. Come on, man. Pop-up show on a Monday. We got DJ Shuttle. He hasn't been here in a few weeks. He's back. We got Jeff to jump on a Monday night out of the blood. Jeff running home just to get on.
Right. At my age, I get out of breath real fast. So
yeah. Shuttle gracing us with his presence. Any last words?
Let's go, Mitch. Let's go, Mitch. Hit that rehab. Get in shape. Get off the video game. Get off the video games. Watch some film. Do as much working out as you can possible.
Stay in shape.
To get in the best shape you can, because it's going to be very difficult coming back to the team. Study, watch, observe your teammates. Do the knowledge of how they play. Be ready. Don't be starting at level 1 when you get back and you can get on the court. Watch film. Come to practice. Zoom practices. Whatever you got to do. Stay in tune.
Yep.
And come back 100% ready to rock and roll and get ready for this championship run. That's what I got. That's my last word.
Preach. I love it. Sorry I was late. Thank you for the pop-up show. This was great. Always good to hear Shuttle, Ajay. You're the man, and Queen. Great job. The chat, you're amazing as always. Thanks for chopping it up with us. And the sky's not falling, guys. We're still going to win a lot of basketball games.
We're still going to be all right. But listen, shout out to the Queen, man, with a lunchtime show today, man. Listen, if y'all don't have y'all notifications on, make sure you do that right now, man. Because when them shows come on, she had a great show with Tony Core this afternoon, man. It was just really cool. It was good stuff. And Jay Boogie was on there too for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right now you could go back on the replay, but you can catch that live, if you have your notifications on. So make sure you do that.
Yeah. And then also on Tony's show, Knicks and Bruises, because the lunchtime is a double show. We talked about Mitch injury.
It's a home and home.
It's a home and home, right? We talked about Mitch injury. Do the replay, 2 lunchtime live show, one on this channel, one on Knicks and Bruises. Hit that like button. Let me just do a few shout outs. Knicks 100, Nick Yak, Knicks 100 of GM, Nick Yak, Wiz, BKLA, Mega,
A-Train,
CM67. It's all Knicks 100 of GM just going in.
and Nick Yak. Shout out to them. They always rocking with us.
Shout out to them. Paris Doug, I appreciate you. Appreciate the super chat. Rocking from the beginning. Keith Turner, Trav B, Brian. I'm not going to get to everybody. Space Ghost.
Yeah.
Dwayne Dennis, always rocking with us.
Dwayne Dennis. Yeah. Keith Turner. Let's not forget Keith Turner, always here.
Yeah. David C.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Space Ghost.
We will be back third. I don't know. We got it. If keep the notifications on. The Giants play Thursday. So either we're going to go on Thursday with the Giants in the background, or we're going to go on Wednesday. Shuttle, you got some things you want to announce?
DJ Shuttle, all aboard. Blend Alert Volume 2 is available right now. The dog, he heard it. You know what I mean? The pooch is rocking with it. We got some fire blends. We're not posting it. It's not on any free links. This is one of them gems that you got to pay for. So you hit me up.
Put it in the chat.
Or
no?
Well, actually, what I can do is I can put one of the videos in the chat so that this way they can get a sense of what's available. But this is just a teaser. If you want to see what's really going on, you got to hit me directly at DJ Shuttle NYC on any social media platforms, Twitter X or Instagram or Facebook.
You on Twitter now?
I've been on there. I just don't. I have my Instagram hooked up where if I put something on Instagram, sometimes I put it on Twitter.
Okay.
But I just don't do it very. I just don't. Twitter's it's like the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain. Twitter's a different side of the brain that I'm not really always ready for. So I just put stuff on Instagram, and I hit the button that'll say put it on Twitter X also.
Twitter's outside of my brain. I only go in there just for our chat, Queen. I don't
just get the link, right?
Yeah.
It's on my phone. If one day, God forbid, the password, like I have to put in the password, I'm screwed because I have no idea.
I think you can get an email to you. Their phone.
Man.
They still have a forgot password function. Probably send it straight to your phone via text.
Anyway, Jeff, Ajay, DJ Shuttle, I appreciate you guys.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine.
her.
Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you